Welcome back.
Good to be back, Michelle. Good to be back. How's it going?
Great, great. So our guest today is Devon Gilfillian. He is going to be at the Truman tonight with Corey Wong. His new album, Time Will Tell, is coming out June 26th via Concord Records, and we have gotten a taste of two of those tracks. We're playing Hold On, Hourglass, and IRL is also brand new, which you just recorded with Corey as well. Yes. So welcome. You've been here. You came back here, 2019? I think it was like one of your first singles.
2019 was the first time. Yeah, that was after Black Hole Rainbow, or before Black Hole Rainbow came out, because after Black Hole Rainbow came out, the pandemic happened and nothing was happening.
Yeah. Well, and now you are here with your third album. The very first time I got to meet you was at South by Southwest back in 2023, and it was a few months before your second album, Love You Anyway, came out. So
that's right.
It is really cool to be able to talk to you again, like kind of at the same point in the promo cycle. So
where's the time go? I don't know.
I have no idea. Also was going to mention, and we talked about this already, but the last time I got to see you, so you're from Nashville. I was in Nashville for the Americana Fest playing with a friend, and we decided to go see Nathaniel Rateliff in My Morning Jacket. And then at the end of the set, all of these artists came out, and it was you, it was Margot Price, it was a bunch of other Nashville heavyweights, and that was just it was such a joy to be able to see you. Also, just such a nice surprise as well. So.
I was just happy to be with the cool kids that night, like Nathaniel and My Morning Jacket, Margot, they're all, and you, of course, that's, what a blessing, what a crazy life.
Well, I have a secret to tell you. You are one of the cool kids, so.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you.
But so, happy first day of tour. This is the first part of the Lost in Wonder tour for Corey Wong, and you're going to be playing in his band tonight, right?
I am. I get to get down and sing a couple songs with him. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so you guys have been collaborating together. So yesterday you just released a version of IRL with Corey on it, and you also contributed to his record. You were on CBS Sunday Morning recently. So what, kind of tell me how that relationship started, and what it's been like to work with him, working with his music, and then also his band working with your music.
Absolutely. I met Corey at this little spot called the Flamingo in Nashville. They do this little jam, kind of like an R&B jazz funk jam, every Wednesday night, and I met him there, and we kind of got on each other's radar. And I've been a fan of his for a while, since hearing all of Wolfpack's stuff, and he had me on for the Super Jam at Bonnaroo back in 2023. That was the first time we got to actually play together, and I did Never Too Much, little Luther Vandross, and that was so fun. But ever since then, I was like, all right, how do we do something together? And we finally figured out, okay, he's putting out this new album, and he asked me to come and write a song for it. So that was the first real collab.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So this is kind of more you. So you had told me you haven't really toured this year. This is kind of your first go around.
Yeah, the first hurrah of
Yeah.
2026 for sure, and really only the second time I've been on a bus. So this is a big step up for me.
Heck yeah. Well, and so you are going to be performing some of your own songs tonight, but this kind of, to me, seems like the prelude to a bigger headlining tour that you're going to be doing later on when Time Will Tell comes out. So
let's go. That is this fall. Be on the lookout. All right. The album comes out in June 26th, but the fall we'll be doing a tour. We'll come back out here and hope to see y'all.
We really hope you come back to Kansas City.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I gotta.
Yeah. I mean, we will make you.
You better.
So I do want to talk about Time Will Tell a little bit. It is your third studio album. I've only heard the two songs that are out, but based on what I'm seeing, what I've heard from those two songs, it really is this very cool exploration of what you grew up with in Philadelphia, as
Yeah.
well as, now you've been in Nashville for the last 13 years. So, I Love You Anyway was a great record. It was born out of, I feel like it was about creating a narrative of joy in these very difficult times that we're in. But Time Will Tell seems a little more personal in terms of like it was born out of conflict. It was born out of, some big changes that you went through and some big realizations. And I wanted to talk first about your dad, Nelson. He suffered a heart attack in 2023, and it sounds like he was, really healthy guy. It was pretty unexpected, and I do want to say that he is doing okay now.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about that and how that's inspired some of the music on this album.
Absolutely. I mean, that moment, my dad, when he had a heart attack, it just really changed my perspective on life and how short and beautiful it is, and how it can be taken away from us any second, and the people that we love can be taken away from us. And what are we doing? What are we doing here if we're not holding those people close to us? And that it shook me, and that really inspired the first song that I wrote for this album, which is called "Glad to Be Here," and I would love to play that for y'all. But it just showed me how beautiful this life is, and how I get to play music for a living and go around the world, and that the reason I do that is because of my dad. And that was a big moment, huge moment for me.
So is he doing pretty well now?
He's doing
back?
great. Sorry,
Okay,
he's doing so good.
Yeah.
He's back in the gym like 3-4 days a week. He got 3 stents in through his leg and into his heart, and he's one of the cleanest eating guys I know.
Yeah.
He's just chicken breast with salt and pepper and olive oil on it. And I'm like, how do you eat that?
That's
every
very
day?
healthy. And he's also a musician. Is he still doing his Wednesday night conga jams?
He does. He goes to
so cool.
that spot, that same place, the Flamingo, where I met Corey. He goes every Wednesday, and it's funny. Pitar, the drummer for Corey, he's like, him and my dad just like they jam all the time.
That's so cool.
It's really fun to see my dad kind of mix it in with the younger crowd in Nashville, and he still flies up to Philly and sings for the wedding band that he sings with, and he's working. And he just turned 70.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so he's getting it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear he's doing well. Want to get back into Time Will Tell. So the lead track, the lead album, or the lead single that you have released is Hold On Hourglass. And that kind of came from leaving a fracturing relationship, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that. This song grabbed me the first time I heard it. It's so it's frenetic. There, you can feel like a lot of the tension, but you also feel this feeling of freeing yourself. And it's kind of in this different. It's slightly different to what you've done before. It brings in your kind of roots, soul kind of thing, and then there's also just like this psychedelic quality to it that it's
psychedelic,
so cool.
Little spaghetti western.
Yeah.
I like to, I love Django Unchained. That's I love Quentin Tarantino. I love, he's a little controversial here and there. Sometimes I'm like, don't listen to what he says, but watch the movies. Anyway, I love that cinematic sound, and for this album, it's Time Will Tell. It's a diary entry, many diary entries over the past 2 years of my life, and of this, me trying to make a relationship work. All these songs, I wrote maybe 50, 80 songs throughout the couple years, and I guess I just look back at most of them and just see this underlying theme of I'm not really happy in my relationship, and that's kind of where this album came from. That's where Hold On came from, and but at the same time, I'm so grateful. Relationships don't work out. That doesn't mean that it was this abusive, terrible thing. It was just falling out of love, and which hurts, and it's not fun. And but at the same time, you gotta follow your heart. You have to stop hurting the other person by just staying in it, and you gotta let go. And that's where this came from. Yeah.
Well, and one thing I read that you said that struck me was that time is a healer and a revealer, and
Yeah.
that seems like kind of the main theme of
Big
what
time.
you have. Yeah,
Big time. And I mean, time will tell came from just like watching, somebody, being with somebody for years and years, and seeing the patterns over and over again that you get sucked into, that you don't want to be in anymore. And the only thing that can really show you that is time, and looking back at it and being like, wow, I've been in this for way too long.
yeah. So, I want to get a little bit into the recording of the album. So you wrote these songs. You and your longtime drummer, Jonathan Smaltz, went about making the record, but you wanted to do something a little bit different. So you asked Dave Cobb if you could borrow RCA Studio A. Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't know about that studio, it's this hallowed institution on Music Row in Nashville. The likes of Dolly Parton, Waylon Jennings, more recently Brandi Carlile have recorded there. But, you weren't necessarily interested in making that kind of album, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I wanted to take bits and pieces of what, the nostalgia that is there, that's at RCA Studio A, and then take that and mess it up and get weird and push it forward, and it was such a full circle moment of Dave, for a while, we were talking about a record deal back in 2017, and things didn't work out, but he showed us the studio, and we were like, wow, it would be so incredible to get to record here, where Sturgill Simpson did Meta Modern Country Sounds, and all these other incredible albums were made. And obviously that was the more modern stuff, Willie, Waylon, Elvis, Dolly, all those older cats, classic cats were there. But getting me and John Smalt, we were like, we don't need Dave Cobb, we don't need we had experience with producers who we loved, so we're like, all right, let's do it ourselves. Let's do this. We're ready. So that was, I'm really proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you brought in a few different producers and engineers, some session cats, and you, from what I've heard, which hasn't been the whole album yet, but again, there's this intersection of your life in Nashville for the last 13 years, as well as your roots in Philly soul, and then your enjoyment of psychedelic music. But I'm curious how being in that studio in particular kind of helped you get more of what you wanted out of that album sound.
Yeah, it felt like, for me, it was like being, I finally feel like a Nashville native in a way, and getting to put my stamp on what I call, like, what I feel is Nashville soul, and mixing Philly soul and the folk and country sounds from Nashville, like taking what I love from that and little pieces and injecting that, but like. That room, RCA Studio A, has all those ghosts in it, but also it has. Really, we wanted it because it had the big ceilings too. Like that was a big factor in getting to capture the air on tape. Specifically, I wanted to get the band in the room, capture them on tape, so that we couldn't fix it. We had to live with our mistakes and. What we also did was we sped it up and slowed it down, and we used this technique called vari-speed, and kind of gave it like a whole kind of weird space and airy sound to it, and we wanted to use like the psychedelic techniques that they were using back in like the 70s with tape and stuff like that. So that was really fun, and that's why we chose that room too.
Well, we'd love to hear another track from the album if you'd like to play for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to do a little shorter version of Hold On Hourglass.
So I do want to go back to talking about your life in Nashville. So you've been there for 13 years. I think when we talked back at South by a few years ago, we were kind of talking about just the idea of like what Nashville is, what the impressions are of Nashville, and kind of like the music itself, you know. And you told me at the time that you'd finally learned about good country music, quote unquote. Which,
Yep.
you know, same boat. I feel like when I started listening to The Bridge, that's when I was like, there's actually
good stuff
really
out
good
here.
stuff out there. It's not just the stuff that you hear piped in all over the place. But, you know, how has that seeped into your music over the last decade?
It's so like I didn't like you said, like I didn't know there was good country music, you know, and I was ignorant, as they say. And when I moved down to Nashville, like I said, like, you know, it really was that Sturgill Simpson Metter Modern Sounds and Country Music album that just ripped my brain apart, and was like, whoa, like country can be dope. Country can be psychedelic and also so deep, so deep. And I mean, y'all know that, but like I didn't know that. And so that truly changed my whole perspective of music and songwriting, and it was why I wanted to make an album at RCA Studio A, and I'm just so grateful for that. You know, Sturgill, Chris Stapleton, Margot, Casey Musgraves, you know, all this country music that's coming out today. That's just this combination of everything that I love, like soul and incredible songwriting and psychedelic rock and blues and country. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to just the idea of like breaking these barriers of genre that we've kind of all been told to, like, you know, do you like pop? Do you like this kind of music? Do you like this kind of music? And I think also with the renaissance of, you know, country just becoming this mainstream thing, and coming from artists like Beyonce, Shabuzi, you know, artists that are not the quote unquote typical person you're going to expect playing country, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that kind of brings me to my next question about just like what were your initial expectations of being in Nashville compared to what the reality of it has become for you?
Wow, you know, I love that question. You know, my expectations from Nashville, I kind of moved down here thinking maybe I'd be like a hired gun guitar player or something like that, you know, and I didn't really know myself, my voice well until I got here and started writing with people, and my expectations have been exceeded for sure, and I've really gotten to build a community there in town, and I feel like I made it. You know, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm here at Kansas City talking to you on the bridge, and the fact that I get to play music and go around the world is, my expectations are exceeded. Yeah.
Well, we are very happy
Maybe
to
my
have you
standards
here.
need to go higher. I don't know.
No. Well, you know, I mean, honestly, I really think that what you have put out the last few years and what you're getting ready to put out is just in this line of what the Nashville sound actually can become and what it has become, you know, and you're one of the people that is helping redefine that.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. I want to push it, you know. I want to push the sound.
Yeah, and I think that this record is, you know, kind of, I feel like third albums, there are a lot of them that really hit, you know. They're like, this is kind of where the artist really discovers who they are as an artist, what they're taking from other places, you know. And, you know, based on just these couple songs, I feel like that's what is going to be coming out of this one. So we're really excited to hear it.
I'm excited for y'all to hear it. Thank you, Michelle.
Devon, thank you so much for coming in. I know this is the first day of tour and you're just already hitting the ground running, dropping by here. We really appreciate when any touring artists can come by, and this is your second time here, so we're very grateful that you're sharing your music with us.
Michelle, thank you to the Bridge. I love you guys. You guys are, like I said, a second home to me, so it's good to be back. Thank you.
Now available on 90.9 The Bridge YouTube.